Okay, so welcome to Tunisian Crochet Club. We're doing the Tunisian Sampler Shawl by Haley Joanne Robinson. And this is our third session, and we're going to be doing the basket weave today. I am almost done with that section, so I wanted to show mine so far.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, really, really loving it.
Wow.
Um,
Mhm.
so this was the first section we did, the simple stripes, and then the purl and the scratched, and then this is the addition of the basket weave. So I still have two more complete rows to add to the basket weave, but I did have to move to a larger cord.
Mhm.
I had it crammed on this little cord,
Oh,
and
wow.
I finally, adding 4 stitches every row, it finally was enough. So I've gone to a much larger cord, which I'm hoping will get me through the rest of the shawl, but we shall see. So it is a lot of fun. This is a really easy stitch. It really builds on what we've already done. And this isn't the kind of stitch we're going to have to keep going back to the pattern all the time. This is going to be good. All right, so as usual, I'm going to demonstrate on my little teeny tiny scrap here so you don't have to watch me go across all those rows. And not only did our projector die in the shop, but so did our camera. So I'm using my, it's been one of those, yeah, one of those weeks. So I'm going to be using my phone as a camera. So the screen, I'm hoping I can zoom in and you can see it well enough. A new camera on order. Um, so that is coming. So I apologize if it's a little harder to see, but I'm going to zoom in nice and close, hopefully. Don't choke myself with the cord. All right, so let me go over to.
So if I have not said it, you are definitely a good teacher.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. I used to teach first grade.
Oh, of course,
I
that's
feel like
why.
they taught me patience.
Yeah.
And then I taught sixth grade for almost 3 years, and they taught me I did not have enough patience. And then I didn't do that anymore. Okay, so here we are. This is our little up-to-date swatch, our simple stripes, our pearl, and our scratched. Um, Remember, you have to do a transition row to get to your new stitch. And we talked about this morning in class that one of the things that we really loved about the shawl, I guess you can see it here too, is that such a nice transition between the different stitches. And even though you're changing colors, it does seem like it flows really well. And I have to say that I think the majority of that reason is because you do a transition row in between colors. So you do the old stitch in the new color before you do the new stitch in the new color. And it just makes it flow, because otherwise I think it would be very chunky and blocky looking, blocky, clearly a word, between the different stitches. But it doesn't. It really flows together, and I think it's using that transition row. So don't forget it.
Hmm.
Another reason is if you forget it, you're going to be short 4 stitches, because every time we do a row, we add 4 stitches to our shawl. And while it doesn't always matter that your stitch count is correct, on this particular pattern, your stitch count does need to be correct. Otherwise, the basket weave effect won't work out. So we'll be making little squares here by using the knit stitch and the purl stitch. So we'll be doing 3 purls, 3 knits, 3 purls, 3 knits, and then we'll be doing 3 rows of that. So we'll do, 3 knits, 3 purls, 3 knits. We'll do it again, and we'll do it a third time. And then by that time, we'll have added additional stitches on. And because math is so wonderful, we actually have added 6 stitches on. So we can start our repeat over again, adding new purl stitches at the beginning. So you'll see how it works out. But you do have to have the right number of stitches to start with, or the 3-3-3 won't work out. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do our little transition row here. And if I'm trying to watch the camera and my work at the same time. So if I go off the camera, holler at me so I can move the stuff back on. So remember, when you are changing colors, you're going to do the last yarn over in your previous color with your previous color. We're going to do it in the new color. So I still have to yarn over and pull through these last two stitches. So instead of doing it with the green, I'm going to switch to my brown. And I'm going to tie those little tails off to the side here so that they don't bother me. And now we're ready to do our transition row. And she tells you in each pattern what your transition row is. So for the basket weave, our transition row is the same as the pattern row of section 3. There's only one pattern row in section 3. That's not the same for every section, but in section 3, there was only one pattern row. So it always starts by skipping the first vertical bar right here, and we're going to make a full stitch. Let me make sure I've got, and I think I counted this morning. I think I have the right number of stitches here to make it work on my little sample. So remember, the full stitch goes into the space. And then we're going to knit stitch in the next stitch. Let me find.
I don't think you put it in the right place.
I did not. I did not. Absolutely did not put it in the right place. Let's start over again here. These tails are killing me there. Okay. How about right here? Now I think we're in the right spot. And now we're going to go into, let's see, knit stitch and then simple stitch. So knit and then simple and then knit and then simple and knit and simple, knit and simple, knit and simple. And I'm just going to go up to the center increase. Although eventually my little swatch is going to be huge. I might have to start a new little swatch. And it should, let's see, looking back here, it should end with a simple stitch when I come up to, that was a knit, a simple, a knit, and did it work out? I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
actually, you are right. I noticed that in this pattern repeat,
Yeah,
it doesn't come out right. You have
yeah,
to, yeah.
yeah. We're okay. So I'm gonna do my increase. Whoop, my increase goes right here. So if I don't end up having the right number of stitches for the basket weave, you'll still be able to get the idea. I am going to move that and do my other increase. Sometimes getting that second on the center increase, getting that second full stitch can be a little tricky. Put this back on the center stitch. Okay. And then you would continue down the other side, knit stitch, and then simple stitch all the way to the end. You would do your full stitch and then your end stitch and return pass. So I'm just going to do a quick return pass here. I made that really tight. I love the return pass. You don't have to think.
Mhm.
You don't have to hunt for your stitch. You don't have to look at your pattern. And as these rows get longer, it's like a little, I can pay attention to the TV or the rate, whatever it is I'm doing at the same time. Maybe answer my husband's question that he's asked me, 5 minutes ago when I wasn't paying attention. Okay. So now we're finishing our transition row with our new color and we're ready to start the basket weave. All right, let me flip over here and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so the basket weave has 3 pattern rows. They are essentially the same. The only thing that's different is what happens around the increases. That's the only thing that changes. Okay, so you'll see by the time we get to the second one here. So we're going to again skip our first vertical bar and make our full stitch to increase. And then I'm going to TPS, so purl in the next 3 stitches. Find my stitches here. And I have found, I believe, the way that I do the Tunisian purl stitch, I'm just going to do these 3 and then stop. Because I hold that yarn right here, I have figured out it causes me to be a little bit looser on this stitch than it does on my other stitches. If you can see, it's really hanging pretty low. And when I then go to do 3 knit stitches, so then I'll go in between the 2 legs. 1, 2, and 3. I have a very different tension between my purls and my knits. So as I was working through the pattern, a lot of that gets sorted on the return pass. It doesn't look so bad, but I started to really, I can really pull up a lot of yarn on those purl stitches. So if you haven't learned to do this yet, if you get a loop of yarn, I just kind of pull it through. Um, be careful when you're moving between the purl and the knit that your tension isn't too off. If it's really, really off, just maybe pay attention to how you're doing that purl stitch. But I figured out it's the way I hold that yarn down to pull it through that's causing a little bit extra. So I'm really trying to be conscious and not do that. All right, so I did 3 purls, 3 knits, and I'm going to do that all the way to the marked stitch. So hopefully my stitch count works out right. And if it doesn't, we're going to make it work. So back to 3 purls. 1, 2, and 3. So I was a little tighter on that one because I'm really trying to think about it. And then 3 knits. 1, 2, and 3. I find it ironic that in my knitting, my purl, my purl is tighter than my knit stitch, and in Tunisian crochet, my purl is looser. There you have it. 3 purls. And if you put this down in the middle and you're not sure what you have just done, we'll look at.
I'm completely backward than you with my knitting and pearls.
Oh, are they? Yeah.
I mean, I am backward between the knitting and crochet. I do it backward
You
than
do,
you.
right. The purl stitches are always going to have that little, we call it the purl bump. So you should be able to look at it and see there's 3 little purl bumps and then 3 smooth Tunisian knit stitches. All right, and then 3 purls. Let's see if I can actually get 3 purls out of that. I'm going to pretend I can. Or am I supposed to end with knits? Hold on. No, I'm supposed to end with purls. Perfect. 1, 2, and 3. Hey, look at that. It worked out. Until you get to your center. And then we're going to do our regular center increase. So a full stitch. a knit stitch into the center stitch. And I'm going to take that marker off. I find it hard to get to the other side. And a full stitch on the other side of that center stitch. And then I put my marker back on. There we go. And then after the center increase, we're going to purl stitch into the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and you would continue all the way down, repeating all the way down until you get to the end. You will end with, you'll have 2 stitches remaining. And when they say 2 stitches remaining, they mean this last vertical bar plus your end stitch is how it should work out, okay? So then what you'll do at the very end, I'm sorry, I was looking at pattern row 2. Pattern row 1 should take you all the way to the end, which means your last purl stitch should be in the last vertical bar. I apologize. So that's where your last purl stitch will go. Then you'll make a full stitch in the space, and then you'll make your end stitch. You'll chain 1 and return pass. So I'm going to return pass back. So now we've added 4 stitches, which throws off our 3, 3, 3, but the other pattern rows account for that. You can see my really loose purls that I demonstrated there at the beginning. Okay. And we'll go on to pattern row number 2. So pattern row 2 also starts with a full stitch. So we'll skip the first vertical bar, make our increase. But before we get to our 3 little purls there, we've got this increase from the previous row that we have to deal with. And the way we deal with it is we add a knit stitch. So we're going to knit stitch that increase from the previous row. And now we're back on pattern, and we can do 3 purls. And then 3 knits. So we're putting purls on top of purls, knits on top of knits. So hopefully visually you can see the difference, and you know, maybe every once in a while stop and check to make sure that they're all lining up, because the basket, it will look off. You'll definitely be able to know if you've made a mistake. But I will tell you, the nice thing about this stitch though is that if all of your, you know, 3, 3, 3s all work out, you don't really have to count your stitches, because if it works out, then I'm 99.9% right. You did it right. And then, whoops, purl, purl, and purl. Come on. Knit, knit, knit. Purl. So now we're coming up on our center increase, and I still have another stitch here, the increase from the previous row. And just like we did at the beginning, we're going to knit that one. And now I'm ready for my center increase. So let's open up that space, make the full stitch, the knit stitch, and another full stitch. Put our marker back on. There we go. And then after the center increase, we're going to knit into the increase from the previous row. And then we'll go back to our 3 purls, 3 knits. So the only difference between these rows is dealing with the increases from the previous row. You're still going to put the purls on top of the purls, knits on top of the knits. You'll go all the way to the end, and you'll go till you have 2 stitches remaining, and it will be the last vertical bar plus the end stitch. You'll knit the last one. You'll make a full stitch, and then you'll do your end stitch, chain 1, and return pass all the way back. And now that you've got 2 rows on there, you should start to see your purls and knits lining up with each other. Pull out some more yarn here. And we're ready to start pattern row 3. Now, since we did, don't get fooled. Since we did a transition row in our new color, it does look like we've done 3 rows, but the first row we did was actually not part of the basket weave. So we've actually only done 2 of the basket weave pattern. So here's my first row of 3 purls, and here's my second row of 3 purls. This down here is the transition row. Okay. All right, pattern row 3. We're going to skip our first. I only have trouble with this when I'm on camera. That's the way it goes. First vertical bar. And now, before I get to those purl stitches, I've got 2 stitches I need to deal with. So I'm going to knit both of those. Knit stitch, knit stitch. And now I can go to my purls. And because this is our 3rd row, I'm going to stop right here. Because this is our 3rd row, we've now added 3 stitches. So we had added from the first row we increased, the second row we increased, and the 3rd row we increased. So now once we finish this row and come back, you'll be ready to start pattern row 1 again. So you'll skip the first one, you'll make your increase, and these first 3 stitches you'll purl. And then you'll knit these. So we've got 3 purls. Now these will switch to knits, which is what gives you the basket weave effect. So these look like knit stitches because they are. It just started as 1 and turned into 3. And these will become your first 3. And then you'll knit, purl. And the same thing will happen. Here's our last 3 purl stitches. Here's 1 knit stitch, 2 knit stitch. We'll add a 3rd here. So you'll have another group of 3 here to complete your pattern. another group of 3 here to complete your pattern, and again on this end to complete your pattern. So what you'll work through are these 3 pattern rows, and you'll do a total of 4 times. So it says 3 more times. You might want to underline that. Not 3, but 4 to get to a total of 201 stitches.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Are
Yes.
there questions about that? So I can show you what it looks like here.
It makes sense now that you explain how the
Yeah.
pattern progress.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's I'm going to zoom out just a little. Okay. So here was where we started. 3 pearls right here. And then the second time I went through, the 3 pearls started over here. And the third time they were over here. I'm sorry, sets of 3. So here is pattern row 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. And here I am on the second one. I'm halfway through the second row of halfway through the second row on that one. So I have one more row to do
Oh, the last repeat.
of my last repeat. So I'll have a total of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mhm.
And I think it looks really nice.
Mhm.
Yep. It's pretty, really
Yep.
pretty.
And really easy to see if you're off.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So, because it will stand out on this one. So if you work across on this, particularly on the last row, and everything lines up all the way through your center, I don't feel strongly that you should have to count those stitches. I'm just saying, because if it worked out, then you probably
Right.
have the right number of stitches.
Mhm.
Sounds good to me.
Excellent. Good. Any other questions?
Nope. I just have to get to work now.
I know it. I know it.
Me
Those
too.
rows get long. Get a longer cord if you haven't moved up to a longer cord. And then next month, we're going to be starting where we're using 2 colors, one color for the forward pass and one color for the return pass. So I'm excited to get started on that. That's going to be fun.
So we're only doing one section next week too.
Correct. I figured that was enough.
Yeah. Especially for us who are a lot behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I tried to work it out such that the thinner section, I think there's only maybe one more time where we're doubling up, and it was on skinny rows. So to get them all in. So yeah, I think we're good.
Mhm.
Please call if you've got questions or email. I'm always happy to answer. I can hop on Zoom and demonstrate if we need to do anything. I've had a couple people reach out that way, so don't hesitate.
Okay. All righty.
Okay.